How low can oil go and Sable still be profitable? This is going to be interesting. If you don't know what I'm talking about, earlier I posted about Sable Oil and Gas based out of Texas, now producing oil off the coast of Santa Barbara from the Santa Ynez unit, a platform that's been shut down for 10 years because they had a massive oil spill. Exxon Mobil owned it when they had the massive oil spill. Now there's a big fight between federal, state, and local authorities about this because the platform's in federal waters, the pipeline runs to the state of California, so there are also state and local implications as well. But how cheap can the oil be and still be profitable? It can be super cheap. Oil prices are not going to get cheap enough for them to stop making money, and I'll tell you why. I don't know what the exact price per barrel would have to be, but I know enough about the deal to know it's super cheap. Okay. Uh, ExxonMobil sold these assets to Sable Oil and Gas for less than a third of their enterprise value. And they carried the note. They basically handed these assets to Sable Oil and Gas and said, we'll finance it. You don't even have to pay us. That is how bad Exxon wanted to leave California. They handed a new oil and gas company $3 billion worth of assets and said, here you go. Pay us when you start making some oil. Pay us when you start making some money. So Sable didn't have to drill the wells. They didn't have to set up platforms. They didn't have to do any of the expensive work. They just had to get the pipeline ready and do whatever maintenance needed to be done. They were basically gifted this $3 billion asset. And now there's a few wells sitting there producing 6,000 barrels of oil a day with 70 more to open. What I'm saying is, no matter what happens with oil prices, Sable's going to make a fortune and they're going to continue to produce oil out of all of the wells that they can. They're going to have to give Exxon some money, but they're not out much. My guess would be the cash outlay that they've laid out so far for this $3 billion asset is less than 1% of its value. That's my guess because we don't know all the particulars, but we do know how they got it, and we do know what Exxon gave it to them for, and we do know that they carried a note for them just like at a used car lot. So, based on the limited amount of information I have, I can tell you that Sable can operate these platforms probably even at $10 or $15 oil, if we're being honest. Probably so. And that's not going to happen with oil prices. Sable's going to make a mint. Sable's going to make a fortune unless they get shut down. So if you're wondering if low oil prices will shut them down, it won't. It won't.